Hi, welcome back to my channel. We are back with another session of our book, The Wall Street Awakening, The Heart and Mind of Investing with Biblical Integrity. I'm assuming most of you have been with us and seen one or two or more of these videos, but if you would happen to be here for the first time, I am Julie, this is my husband Jason.
Hello.
He's a financial advisor with Integrity Investors, and we have been doing a series going through parts of this book that was written by Mark Manella. And today I'm looking forward to this one. The chapter is entitled Solutions. We're doing the chapter called Solutions. So, anytime you hear the word solutions, I get excited about that because I'm kind of a solution-minded person. And we have spent most of this series kind of going through the whys. So we're going to skip into some hows now.
Right, the nitty-gritty.
Mm-hmm. But first, I need to let the winner know who is getting a copy of this book sent to their house. It is Jedette. I wrote it down. Jedette is her YouTube username. So, Jedette, I don't know if that's her real name or not. If you could email Jason, it's Jason at
integrityinvestors.com.
Okay. Just email him your address and we'll get this sent in the mail to you. Everyone who has won has been so excited. It's fun to get a free book in the mail. Okay, so today we're talking about how do you know if your investments are biblically responsible? How do we know that?
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to start. I know I'm talking a lot right now, but you're going to get the floor very soon when it gets to the part that I don't know anything about. So what I learned when I was reading this chapter, which of course you already know, is that Integrity Investors uses, the plan that they make is from Matthew 10:16. And I will read this verse to you. It says, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves." And so it's a two-part thing. It's the serpents and the doves. And he says that the wise as a serpent is found in your worldly knowledge. So what would that entail? What would your worldly knowledge
Right. So,
investing?
We have the part where we develop the portfolio. We pick appropriate investments. So you're looking for an objective, making sure that your time horizon and your personalities all line up with this. Time horizon is a fancy way to say when do you need the money. So if there's something that you're looking to do short term, that's going to affect how you invest versus this is something that I'd like to use in retirement and I'm 35, 25, 45 years old. So that is time horizon. And your personality again is, I always say it like this is like a sleep check. So, or your sleep quotient. So how well do you sleep at night knowing that the market's going up and down or if there's turbulence or whatever? If you don't think of it, then maybe you have a higher risk tolerance than some people.
Yeah, that's good.
And and the word risk is a difficult word that gets used inappropriately in our industry. And so, but some of the other worldly knowledge that you need is that you need to be able to understand what's going on in the market. As we say, the disposition of the market. In light of this, and this is what the market's doing, okay, knowing where things are, the sentiment, analysis and research. So this is a large part of what I enjoy about what I'm doing, is that I get to go and do a lot of research on companies. I get to learn the stories of what they're doing, how they're doing it, why it matters. And again, you're using all of these different pieces to come up with an end solution or an investment that you're going to choose.
So if I'm understanding right, this wise as a serpent part would kind of be the same for anyone, whether they are Christians or not in the financial world.
Correct.
I mean, it's accumulating that knowledge of money.
Yeah, so the idea is just understanding the principles of investing. And so it really, in this part of it, doesn't have a whole lot to do with the Bible outside of the fact that, you're diligent about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But, again, getting back into it, you have to be able to define and manage what risk is. And so again, you're in base of, or in light of what's going on in the market, you're saying this is a good time or not a good time based on all these different factors. It's difficult for me not to go into great detail and to try to be general about this, because there are so many details about this that I enjoy, and so I have to
This
restrain.
is your favorite part.
I do. I enjoy this. I enjoy this part. I like the mechanics of it. You know, and the last part I would say is, you know, how to develop an investment strategy. And so if you're you know, I don't know, if you're a day trader, which we're not, then you have to basically develop rules so that you don't remain emotional, that you're doing this out of a logic or, again, knowledgeable position. You don't necessarily want to do emotional, because there's so many things that can affect your emotions, you know, what you ate last night or whatever. Yeah.
So the important thing, though, I would say for Christians who are wanting to invest, is that they would get their knowledge, and they would partner with their advisor, who would, you know, obviously assist them in that and grow their knowledge. But then that they would add in this second part, which is harmless as a dove.
Right.
Which, you know, when I first read this, I did not see how harmless as a dove could possibly fit in the world of investing.
Right.
And he does talk about that at one point. He says, if you were only harmless as a dove, you would, here it is, if we are only harmless as a dove, we may very well get eaten alive by the wolves of the world. If we are only wise as a serpent, we might end up hurting others. The key I find in these verses is to embrace both in our lives.
Right.
And this harmless as a dove, I think, is what we're going to kind of talk about today. How do you do that?
Right. Do you want to go over 1 Thessalonians 5?
Yeah. Right, so that's the
21 and
second verse that
22.
he shares.
Right.
Very short verse, but so important. Test all things. Hold fast what is good. Abstain from every form of evil. And he says, how do individuals abstain from every form of evil regarding their investments? What strategies could be utilized?
Right. So this can be done through the screening process. We've talked a little bit about this before. And so there is both positive and negative screening. And so the positive screening is that you're looking for companies that are exhibiting biblical characteristics. You know, they pay their employees fair wages. They do business that is ethical, and their products and services are adding to the health of individuals and trying to better, if you will, society, as opposed to the opposite, which are negative. And there's also negative screening.
Right, which I read is that this one here, he made a list in his book. The use and abuse of individuals for sexual activities such as pornography and prostitution. Abortion, including the production and distribution of...
Abortifacient.
Okay, that's a big word.
Yeah.
The production and promotion of products and services that harm or even destroy the consumer. This would include alcohol, tobacco, drugs, gambling, any other addictive products and services. Entertainment and publication that promote, desensitize, and program our society to reject God and the Bible. Boy, that's so widespread.
It is.
Human trafficking, and it says additionally, screens for some may include abusive labor practices, abusive environmental activities.
Those are human rights violations,
Right.
that sort of thing. Those lists basically will disqualify an investment from being biblically responsible if they come in violation with them. So if a company does any of those things, or promotes anything that might be anti-biblical, then they would automatically be disqualified from the screening process. So again, it's a two-part step here. So you have the screening, and then you have the worldly knowledge when it comes to investments. Mm-hmm. The worldly knowledge may be difficult for some, may be interesting for some. So there's a lot of information out there and available. Again, we've had some good resources.
Mm-hmm. And actually, there's a list of resources they compiled that I can include in the description box.
Please do, yeah. So you can go there to learn more about it. It's not impossible to manage your own investments. It's not necessarily simple, but you can do it. And then, of course, you can have other people do it as well. The more that you know about how it's done, I think that the best you're going to be at being able to discern whether or not the advisor that you use is going to be a good partner for you. And they may be good people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're, you're meant to be working with them. And then again, there is the screening aspect of this. That's the part where if you don't know what you're looking for or you don't understand how that works, I've heard several times from several different people, oh, my advisor says that he does these sort of things. And I would say then look for proof. Show me something where your portfolio screens clean, or show me some investments that are in violation, so that you can then say, well, they're socially responsible, which means that's the next step. That's like biblically responsible, and actually that's not the case. So I think it's extremely important for you to understand the balance of these two aspects or solutions when it comes to biblical responsible investing.
And several of you had asked about Jason and their firm, if they were worldwide, nationwide. They are nationwide, so anyone in the United States.
I want to offer this up. If someone has a portfolio and they want to know if there's any investments in there that might have a violation of any sort, I can do a screening for those. Okay, and so you'd have to email me and let me know. We'll start dialoguing, and then you can tell me some of the specifics of what you want me to look up. It won't take long for me to do that. There's no cost in doing that.
Whenever Jason started working with Integrity Investors, we recognized that this is a ministry. This is part of our ministry, because
it is.
We know that our time here on this earth is just to serve the Lord. Right. That's it. It's not to accumulate for ourselves. It's just to serve the Lord and do whatever He calls us to do until He calls us home. Right. And so with this and with all things, just like, okay, how can we be faithful in helping our fellow brothers and sisters in their walk with the Lord?
Right. And so it's really amazing that I'm able to help people make contributions towards the kingdom with their investments, or I mean, if you even want to argue that they're being neutral, they're not working against the kingdom with their investments, and be able to receive a living to support my family while doing that.
It's such a blessing. It is.
And the people that I get to work with, they are so much more appreciative than the clients that I had. So if you're a client previously, not all of the clients.
Right.
But, yeah, but
we love you. No.
Right. No, I've had some very faithful people stick with me throughout this whole transition and learning process for me through the years. But it is amazing that we're able to serve this way. And I just want to mention, in many other ways, we've seen this principle be true, and it's not a prosperity gospel type principle. But we've noticed that when we are faithful in serving the Lord and our heart is pure while doing that, He rewards us with either patience or peace or grace. When we were at the last church, we served both services for a 2-year period, and with a lot of kids, in my opinion. And it was amazing the amount of grace that God gave us while we were serving. And while we were there, it felt like we were being poured into while we were pouring out. Mm-hmm. And again, I think that's God's economy, where if you're making yourself available and you're willing to do the right thing for the right reasons, it's just amazing.
He gives the grace for the season you're in.
That's right.
He gives you what you need. Mm-hmm. We are going to be doing another question and answer video with Mark Manella, the author of this book. So if you have any questions, we do still have some questions that you've asked that we didn't get through.
We have another page, so yeah,
we will get to those questions that you've already asked. But feel free to, down in the comment section, put any questions that you have for Jason or Mark. We will answer them all. We'll get to them all. And then I don't know exactly. I'm not going to make any promises because I don't know when we'll be doing that next Q&A video, but it will be coming up.
It's coming next
week. He thinks it's next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll see. You'll be surprised. Like, man, this week's going to fly by, but we'll make it work.
Yeah.
Okay. Until then, have a great week, and we will see you soon. Be blessed.
Bye.